My crush is begging me to give her my sperm. Rachel and I first met freshman year of college and bonded instantly as random roommates. We quickly became attached at the hip, sharing all the ups and downs of our formative years together. I still vividly remember one wild night junior year after a party. We got intimate in the heat of the moment. We laughed it off the next morning as a drunken one-time fluke, and thankfully moved on without any lingering weirdness or damage to our treasured friendship. But if I'm being fully transparent, that night undoubtedly sparked deeper suppressed feelings in me for Rachel that persisted long after we graduated. Over the 4 years following college as we settled into adult life, I found myself truly falling for Rachel in a way I couldn't chalk up to simply missing my best friend. But by the time I finally worked up the nerve to even consider confessing my heart to her, Rachel met a great guy she started dating seriously. Out of love and respect for her new relationship, I kept my unrequited romantic pining a secret to avoid jeopardizing the lifelong platonic friendship I cherished. Rachel's happiness mattered more to me than hinting at hopes that seemed one-sided and futile. Of course, life rarely follows the perfectly orchestrated paths we fantasize for ourselves. Everything changed abruptly a few years later when Rachel was diagnosed with advanced ovarian cancer that required immediate, aggressive treatment. My heart shattered watching my vibrant, glowing friend transform seemingly overnight into a shell of herself, as she endured endless rounds of grueling chemotherapy and radiation. It was without question the most agonizing, uncertain year we had ever faced. To fully eradicate the insidious cancer, Rachel's medical team informed her a full hysterectomy was necessary, though it would forever rob her dream of one day having children of her own. As crushing as this realization was, Rachel once again faced the heartbreak head-on. After long contemplation of her options, Rachel bravely forged ahead with the surgery and necessary sacrifices. Following several weeks of excruciating recovery, her scans finally showed Rachel was cancer-free. She had miraculously beaten the odds, embracing life's curveballs with dignity. About a year into her hard-won remission, Rachel first tentatively floated the idea of one day pursuing surrogacy or adoption to fulfill her wistful longing to become a mother. As she was contentedly single again, Rachel planned to move forward as a solo parent when the time was right. I did my best to validate her dreams and provide encouragement as her confidant. But privately, I wrestled with an unexpected sense of loss imagining Rachel raising a child alone that I wished could be ours, if only I had gathered my courage to share my heart with her years ago. You can imagine my utter shock and cautious elation when Rachel recently asked me point blank if I would consider being her sperm donor when she felt ready to expand her family. She said no one knew her better or could give her the level of trust she needed in a donor the way I could. I was incredibly humbled that Rachel would want my personal involvement given the enormity of this decision. But before giving her any definitive answer, I knew I needed to take a leap and finally bare my soul regarding my buried romantic history with her. Bringing a child into the mix required total candor. After endlessly playing out possible scripts in my head, last weekend over our usual Saturday morning crepe ritual, I nervously stammered through confessing that I've secretly been in love with Rachel for 15 years. I explained the reasons I never spoke up back then at the risk of losing her friendship when she was with someone else. Rachel's expression shifted through about 10 different emotions before she unexpectedly burst into happy tears. Chuckling through her cries, she said she had secretly harbored feelings for me all this time too, but also feared that speaking her truth could ruin the special relationship we shared if it wasn't mutual. We embraced and cried together, both overwhelmingly relieved to finally stop hiding the love we suppressed for over a decade, each waiting for the other to make the first move. Rachel said she never imagined I could view her as anything more than a friend, assuming I didn't reciprocate her hidden romantic affection. I think I'm going to give her my white juice.
I caught my husband cheating on me with my daughter. I'm a 42-year-old woman in a situation that feels more like a sick and twisted Lifetime movie than real life. A few weeks ago, my world imploded. I discovered my husband, 44, was having an affair. Not just with anyone, but with my own flesh and blood, my 20-year-old daughter. Now she's pregnant, and I am left picking up the shattered pieces of my life. As a mother, my greatest joy and proudest accomplishment has been raising my daughter. She was just a toddler when her biological dad was put away in prison. A few years later, I met my husband, and we decided to build a life together. He's been in her life for so long, he practically raised her. Their bond was strong, but it always seemed like a typical father-daughter connection, or so I thought. When my daughter moved out 2 years ago, I didn't think it was strange that my husband often went to visit her. I would visit her too. We were a close-knit family, at least that's what I believed. Life as a school teacher is demanding. Between teaching, grading, and lesson planning, my days are long and tiring. But one day, I happened to return home earlier than usual due to a doctor's appointment. When I walked in, my husband seemed surprised, even nervous. I brushed it off, thinking maybe he was planning a surprise. After all, he had never given me a reason to doubt him. As I settled in for a nap, his odd behavior stayed on my mind. Waking up to find him fast asleep next to me, I decided to satisfy my curiosity. I know snooping isn't right, but something just didn't feel right. I checked his phone and what I found was like a punch to the gut. Messages between him and my daughter. Not just casual chats but explicit conversations. They were sharing intimate photos. And then, the message that broke my heart into a million pieces, my daughter revealed she's pregnant, and they were discussing what to do about the baby. I felt sick. The urge to confront my husband right then was overwhelming, but I held back. I haven't yet told them that I know. Instead, I'm trying to process this horrific betrayal, this unthinkable situation. I couldn't stand to be in the same house as him. So, I packed a bag and have been staying at a hotel. He thinks I'm out of town for a little while, and I dread the day when I have to confront this reality. To make things worse, we also have a 13-year-old son. He doesn't deserve to be part of this messy situation. So, he's currently staying with my mother. I told her that my husband cheated on me, but I couldn't bring myself to tell her who the other woman was. All I asked was that she keep my secret for now. I don't know where to go from here. I need help, please.
Get another man's name tattooed on you? Get served with divorce papers. My ex-wife, Anne, and I are in our mid-30s. We were married 3 years, together 5 years total. After our engagement party, Anne told me she wants to get matching tattoos. I told her I have nothing against tattoos, I just don't want one. After the wedding, she again asked to get matching tattoos. I said no again. I told her she can get a tattoo if she wanted, but I'm not interested. She said it's something she wants to do as a couple and won't get one unless I get a matching one. I still refused, but she brings it up again every 6 months or so and is more insistent every time. Recently she was promoted and transferred at her job. One of her new coworkers has several tattoos and she has spoken to him about it. He suggested I wasn't a man if I was scared to get a tattoo. She asked me if I was scared to get a tattoo. I said, I'm not scared, there's just no reason to do it, then added, I understand why your friend at work would insult my manhood. He's trying to get into your pants. But why would you throw his words in my face? Her response was, if the shoe fits. Then she got up, went to the bedroom, and slammed the door. That was when I began to suspect that she was sleeping with her coworker. I mean, why else would she start acting this cruelly out of nowhere? She didn't talk to me for 2 days. A few days later she told me she was going shopping. That evening she came home and showed me her new tattoo, 2 Chinese symbols on her forearm. She said they mean strength and independence. My ex-wife is white and does not speak Chinese, by the way. When I looked closer I saw there were English letters, JW, beneath the Chinese ones. I asked her about the initials. She was silent a while, took a deep breath, and said they were her co-worker's initials. He had taken her to his tattoo artist. He had suggested those particular Chinese characters. He stayed with her and lent support while she got inked. She wanted to honor that support in their friendship, so she had his initials tattooed beneath the symbols. Controlling my anger, I told her that having another man's initials tattooed on her body was disrespectful to me and that she should have them removed. She said I was trying to control her, that I had said she could have a tattoo, and I refused to share the tattoo experience with her, so she had chosen to share that experience with a friend who wasn't scared of a little needle. I sat there at a loss wondering how could she not see that it's disrespectful? We barely spoke the next few days, and when we did, the tattoo was always the subject. She said I should get over it and there's nothing wrong with having JW's initials tattooed on her arm. Finally, after weeks of fighting, I straight up asked if she was sleeping with JW. She hesitated, then said yes and actually sneered at me. At least he's a real man, she said. The details of our breakup and divorce aren't important other than to say that it was not contested. The few times we spoke during the process we were civil to each other. The day the divorce was finalized I called and told her I finally had a good reason, so I got a tattoo. I said my tattoo also symbolizes strength and independence. My tattoo is the date our divorce was final. She was silent for a while, and when she began to cry I hung up.